All right, just wanted to make a video for Module 3 that can help everybody through. First things first, into the diving into CSS. You guys should all watch those videos on Pluralsight that talk about box model. It's crucial you understand box model as well as positioning, fixed, and static, and the various types there. You know how to do display, block versus inline, and floats and clears. Floats and clears often students kind of get goofed up on, but look through those, watch through all those videos, and make sure you're actually getting that material and understanding that material before moving on. So a little module overview here that talks a little bit about CSS, the box models, what you're going to need. And you can see here we have a web activity, intermediate CSS concept. So what we got to do is download the web activity guidelines and rubric, and it will look something like this. And we want to reference out this file right here. You can see this is the rubric I'm going to be grading on. So if you want to know what you're going to get, go ahead and look at those and make sure you're following those before submitting. But you can see it's going to pull up this. And first thing you need to do is download the IT 270 supplement exercise files. And I've got a zip here. I've unzipped. And you want to open up Mod 3, Act 1. And so I'm going to take, I have those files, I have my index and my style, and I've opened up both inside of this directory here. And we can double click on this one to kind of look at what that file looks like beforehand, and this is the file here. And what it wants us to do is, first thing, it wants us to place opening and closing div tags around the entire image reference just after the H1 headline. Okay, so just after H1 headline, we have this image here, and so I'm going to put some opening and closing div tags around that. Okay, and you can see that happening. And then I want to add the class attribute fixed to the opening div tag. So it's a class equals fixed. So okay, we got that. Directly below the first image reference, add another image. And I'm going to open up that. Now again, if you guys remember, if you copy and paste in from these, often they'll bring in the wrong type of quotation. See, that quote right there is different than that quote up there. This is kind of like a 99, and it needs to be an absolute vertical quotation. So I'm just going to delete some of those out, just so I don't get myself in trouble later on. Okay, so it's looking for a image / penman PMG, and so we could probably open up our image directory, and there's the penman PNG file. So that's going to be good. So directly below that, we're going to add that, place an opening and closing div tags just like we did before, and we're going to add the class floated image around it. So I'm guessing that this was outside of the div tag, so let's pull that out and do something like we did with the other. Closing div tag there, tab that over. Instead of being called fixed, it was called floated -image. Okay, and then at the start of the last paragraph, with the word sed vertum, or whatever that says, right here, add the following code: div class inline box go penman. So place an, what does it say here? At the start of the last paragraph, starting with the word sed, add the following code. So I'm guessing it wants us to put that right here. That's kind of what I'm gathering. So we'll put that div class equals inline -box bold go penman exclamation mark. So hopefully we did that right, that it's going to stick that code in there. Let's look at the differences now. So we have this right here, and I'll refresh it, and you can see how it put that in there, and this penman right here is inline code. And let's go look over to our CSS. So we want to make a class called fix. So let's do this at the very bottom of your page. Make some comments. Okay, it's going to say something like my CSS for grading, something like that. And we want to do a dot fixed. Okay, so this one's calling it dot fixed. And we want to change the positioning to be fixed. So some position fixed. It also wants it to be aligned to the bottom, whoops, and to the right, 0 like so. And then we need to do a floated. So it's a class floated dash image. Now you got to make sure these match up, these names, from the different things that we've been making here. So that fixed, floated image, make sure that's matching up. And this one needs to float to the left, like so. And then we want to make another one called .inline dash box. And it's going to have the attributes, looks like display, inline, block, border, 3 pixels. We'll make it solid and red. And a width of 100 pixels and a height of 15 pixels. Okay. Now if we did all that right, it should change up some things here. Let's see. So first thing what it did is it that image that was fixed, it said we're going to align you to the bottom and to the right. Now there is some space here. I think that might be because of the scroll bar or something. But that did come down the bottom, and it will stay to the bottom, so as I kind of move my browser around, that will hug that bottom, which is good. And then we saw that this image now became a floated image, that all this text wrapped around it rather than going underneath it. And then we also saw this Go penman be placed in here, and it was given a border and a width and a height, but more importantly was given the inline block. And again, if I change that to block, you'll see that that will bump down a line underneath. But if I go back and make it inline block, it will go in line with one another. So as you watch those videos, make sure you understand the differences between block, inline, and inline block. Make sure you understand floats. And most time, almost 99% of the time, you actually want to use clears with floats. So make sure you understand how to use clears as well, or that's going to get you in trouble. So that is the assignment there. So it wants you to zip all those files up again. So what I would do is I would zip all of those, and I'm going to compress those and call that 3-1 and something like that. And then I would also take those same files right there, and you could leave it in the mod 3 act 1 or rename it to something else. But I'd like to see those uploaded to AltaVista as well. And then a link placed in your homework, so I can just click on it and go, and I don't have to worry every time about downloading, unzipping. Hopefully you zip the right files, things like that. And the best way to test is always in a browser. So make sure that you have that http:// your AltaVista name .altarvista.org/ and then the folder name. You know, maybe that's the uppercase M. Remember how I told you no uppercases? Looks like this one was, but it's fine. Just make sure they match up. And test in your browser before you submit it to me that everything looks good, that it looks like this example that I've given you here. And in order to get full points, that's what you're going to need to do those things. So that is the activity right there. And so I'm going to look for that fixed class, your floating, and that little red one for 100% if you're going to get those. All right, so moving on. Next thing you guys want to do is make sure that you're working on your file project, milestone 2. And this is kind of similar to the one we had before. You're going to go through and you're going to describe out the structural theme. You're also going to build out a nice little sitemap for me. Web site map. We can look up an example of those. And really you just got a bunch of boxes that are tagged together. Normally home's the top like a tree structure, then your about and your products and your contact and different things like that. It's kind of taking a sweet time, but you're going to link those all together. You can do that inside of Word. You can do that inside of some kind of editor, graphical editor if you want to. Really, it's up to you on what you guys want to do. And then you're going to submit that back to me over here. If you do that, that's going to give you full points for Module 3. So pretty easy. Looks like that never came up. There it is. So you can look up some of these if you want to, just for some examples of site maps and what they might look like. But normally home's kind of at the top, kind of something like this. And your subpages will branch off of those, and then their subpages will branch off of those. And that's really kind of how that goes down. So you can look at that if you guys want to. And we'll call the video from there. So good luck, and hope you enjoy it this week.